Hi, my name is Sima.
And I'm Brankica.
We are a pastoral couple, and we have been in the ministry of the Lord for more than 30 years.
We're working currently in the Middle East with a Muslim country that it's very strict and it's forbidden to proclaim the God's gospel.
But praise God for amazing things that He is doing for us and for other people, and that we can be part of this great missionary movement. We lived and worked in different places, but in recent times we have been serving in the Middle East. And this is really unique territory, unique place to be and to serve. The place with many challenges, various cultures, and nice people who are very warm, very temperamental, and people who are also God's children, for whom Jesus Christ had died, and they are worthy of salvation. We have seen the work of the Holy Spirit in a really amazing ways. Although it is very different environment, very different mentality of people, but we see that God doesn't make difference between individuals, families, nations. God loves everyone, and we would like to share with you something that God has been doing for these people and has done for us too. So our ministry in the Middle East started spontaneously in 2012. We were wondering what God had for us in His storage. And somehow people started coming to our doors, and we started sharing the faith of Jesus with them, and Jesus who is their Savior. And we were amazed how these people who are far, because of culture, religion, tradition, because of all of the hindrances that they are there in that region. And we were amazed how God touched and prepared hearts to accept Him and His salvation.
So as you could understand that we are working in the Middle East, we cannot mention the country, but we work with people who are with Muslim background. And so it's amazing how God's worked through dreams. Just recently, we have visited a couple, and they invited their friends. And so as we were giving Bible studies, and my husband was talking about Jesus' second coming, at that time, one of the ladies said, "May I share something with you?" And she said, 3 years ago, I had a dream, exactly what you explained right now. The dream was about Jesus' second coming. And as my husband was explaining the biblical view and reading from the Bible, her eyes were open and she was looking. And she said, I saw that in my dream. It's not the first time. We met so many people who saw Jesus, who gave them peace. He told them something. We had witnessed people who had experience in their dreams that God told them exactly what to do, where to go, to keep 10 commandments, to follow the Sabbath. Just amazing stories. God works in amazing way through dreams with people in the Middle East.
Yes, even children have experienced something like that. We have one sister who had a dream about Jesus when she was a child in a first grade. And she started drawing the picture of Jesus. And it was something strange for the school. And they asked parents what happened to the child. And the child told them that she had a dream. And since then, she believed in Jesus. And this is amazing. There are story after story about how God is doing things for people. So these people who have experienced Jesus in their lives, whether through some dreams or somebody told them something or shared, they shared the faith with others. And that's how it spreads, by word of mouth. And we should trust God that He is going to reach more people. Many people go out of their countries to learn when they want to know more. And they are eager to know more and to have peace, because they find peace and love in Jesus. And this is really amazing to know and to realize, to hear from their mouth how their life has been changed because of finding Jesus.
So we're talking about the country that you cannot change your religion. You are born as a Muslim, you have to stay Muslim. You cannot preach in this country, and you cannot learn a lot about Jesus. But these people are very open to know about Jesus, because, as just my husband said, they want peace and love to receive from Jesus. And so I want to tell you a story about our friend Mahmoud. It's a long story, but it's a wonderful story, how God provided and brought him close to him, and how he performed so many miracles in his life. Him and his wife, they traveled to a neighboring country. And somebody, as they were looking at the touristic places, somebody came to them in their own language and offered them a New Testament. They never saw New Testament before, not even the Bible. And they were surprised, and they took it because they were traditional Muslims, not really very much interested in going into mosques. But they were open-minded, and they wanted to know if there is more. And so they took that book, and they were able to take to their country. From time to time, they would sit down and read. But what they heard about Christian was nothing positive. And so they really didn't want to look more into Christianity, but they liked the book. They liked the New Testament story about Jesus. It's happened after some time. It's past few years that they came to the country where we lived at that time. And in the square, town square, they met a friend that they knew from before because they were connected in the same business. And the friend said, I have to tell you the news. Something happened to me. Yesterday I was born again. And he said, what do you mean you were born again? You're old, you're not born again. I became a Christian. And he said, Christian? Do you know who are those people? You shouldn't become Christian. And he started talking him out of it. He said, no. This is not what you are thinking about. These people are totally something different. And I have friends, and they can tell you more. They can teach you more if you want. And so very soon we got in contact with this man. And he said, I'm here alone. I have to go back to my country, but I will come in a couple of weeks. Can you specify some time for me so we can sit down and talk? I really would like to learn more. And we said, no problem, we can. And so he came. Of course, he didn't announce before he's coming in a couple of weeks. My husband was out of the country at that time. And he called me and he said, me and my wife are here. We came, we wanted to learn more. I said, oh, my husband is not here. He's in another country for meeting. Oh, okay. Can you give me the address? I'll go to that country. But every spare free time that we had before the classes, or if my husband didn't have classes in the afternoon, he would spend teaching them about the Bible. That went for a week.
For about 10 days. And they stayed until we finished all of the 28 fundamental beliefs. Yes, it was kind of short period of time to comprehend everything, but they were pretty good learners, students. So, and it was finished with baptism.
Actually, when Saturday came, we went to church in the morning, and in the afternoon they said, so you don't have classes today and tomorrow. Can we study longer? we have studied every day 4 or 5 hours. So they wanted longer than 4 or 5 hours. But they were eager to learn more. So they had to go back to that country. The story is not finished with this couple. After a couple of months, they came back again. And when we talked to them, they were eager to share their faith with others, but they didn't know how. They were also afraid because it's very dangerous. But they started, and after 6 months, actually he started working, being a Bible worker. And it was amazing, testimony after testimony. One day, he went into the library, into the bookstore in his city. And in this country, Bibles are forbidden in the bookstores. You cannot find Bible. And so while he was there looking at something, another man came into the store and he asked shopkeeper, "Do you have a Bible?" And the shopkeeper looked at him and he said, "Why are you asking that question? You know that it's forbidden. We don't have Bibles here." And our friend, he was listening. And he looked and man said, "Oh, nothing, I'm just asking." And he left. Our friend, I mean, this could have been spy or somebody, but he ran after this man and he caught up with him and he said, "Excuse me, I overheard that you were looking for a Bible." Of course, the man was very scared now. He said, "Oh, no, I was just asking, curiosity, nothing." He said, "Oh, you can trust me. I can get you Bible if you want." Amazing. This man is with his wife, still interested. Unfortunately, we didn't have chance to meet him because they have a little baby and they are afraid because of persecution to come out of the country. But their brother, his brother actually came and he got baptized. This couple continued working, unfortunately, until the time when persecution started for them. First for his wife. It was for 1.5 years. It was a very long, intimidating. And first time when it happened, they couldn't exit the country for 6 months. His wife became very ill. They were interrogating her all the time, calling her early morning, afternoon, wherever she moved up to the house, inviting her, calling her for interviews, which was just 4 or 5 questions repeating over and over and over again. Finally, they decided to come and visit us because they really needed some rest. And when she was at the border, she went first to exit before her husband. And the officer at the border took the stamp, opened her passport, and asked her for half an hour. This went on. He said, "So you want to go to this and this country?" She said, "Yes." "Why?" She explained why. "Oh, okay." He's about to stamp the passport, and then he lifted up. And he was doing this question over and over for half an hour. And then finally he let her go. When they came to our house, they were broken. She couldn't sleep. She had bad dreams all the time. In this country, it's very known, bad prisons and really very bad persecutions. And so they stayed in our place for a couple of months to recover, and they went back in.
They were great co-workers, helping, visiting, studying with people. And when this episode with our sister was over and the authorities stopped interrogating her and intimidating her, then they started with her husband. They called him to come to the office of a secret police or spy agency. And then they asked him question. So it was glass that you don't see through. You hear the noise or the voices talking behind it. And they just handed to him a paper with some questions. He had to write something and then to return to them. So he did it, and at one point, so it was several times that he was called by secret police, and there were questions. And the last time, the agent called him to come and bring his passport. And he said, I cannot bring my passport. Why do you need my passport? You bring it. So our brother didn't bring it. So they had a conversation for about 3 hours in a car, not in the office, but somewhere in the street in a car. And so there were many questions about his activities, about people that he knew, about foreigners that he knew. And the officer knew so much about Christianity, about the Bible, and he even asked our brother if he was baptized.
That was amazing testimony, because just before that interview, he sent us a message and he said, please pray. I don't know what is going to happen and what he's going to ask me. I don't want to lie, but I also cannot tell the truth. And he asked him, so are you baptized? And he said, what is baptism? And this man started talking to him about baptism, biblical baptism. He explained to him everything. And after that, he didn't ask him anymore the same question. After that, he needed to write a couple of more letters. Something about the visitors that he took. Something about people who met with us. They knew our names, and that we visited that country, and that they were in connection with us. They knew exactly, he had a big file with all his whereabouts for all the time since the first time we have met. And we prayed, we told him, we cannot tell you what to do, but we pray that God will give you courage and wisdom to do the right thing, what you need to do. So he waited for about 2 weeks. He told him in 4 days you need to give him those letters.
In the meantime, he made a decision, and we think he made the right decision to leave the country. So he left, and he is now in another country and helping a lot as translator, Bible worker, still not knowing where his next country will be. He would definitely love to come to a country of safety and protection, where he could maintain his faith and practice what he believes. We are praying for him and his wife daily as they are blessing to the community of believers, and when they introduce many other people to the faith that they follow. Brothers and sisters, dear listeners, it is really great to be a part of God's work. God called us to do different kind of things in His field. Some are sowing the seed, some are harvesting, others are supporting, and we all need to pray. One of the greatest needs of our church and of our time is to pray for the harvesters to come to the field. So we need everyone to be in prayer for the fields or places that are hard, where persecutions are daily agenda for many people, and how to survive, how to proclaim the good news in those places. You can imagine how hard it is for believers to work, to escape traps, and also to be faithful to the Lord when there is a huge street current of popular culture or tradition that they are fighting, and they are still identifying themselves as God's children, as God's remnant people.
We don't have many books, material for these people to give them. And so many of them, when they come out of their country, they are eager, they want to read, they want to see some material, but we don't have much in their language. So we need lots of materials. We need the translators, definitely. And there are so many people in North America who have escaped this country, who have learned the English and still know their language, that they can help us with the translation and publishing the books, materials in their own language.
How we function now, so people who are in transition, who already committed their lives to Christ, they are young believers, even without education, but they are gifted and called by God, and we recognize their gifts. We place them to work in certain places where they are, and they gather groups, and they run social media ministries, even in different languages, and they are trying to reach hundreds and thousands of people, their countrymen, for Christ.
This country that we're working for is very strict, and we cannot be in that country. We're in the neighboring country, and in this country there are many, many refugees who are running from this country because they want to be free. They want to serve God. They want to be free to be able to say, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. I accept Jesus. So they come to this country as refugees. They apply for asylum seeker. And they have to wait between maybe 5-6 years, and they live in terrible conditions. What are those conditions? First, this country is also a Muslim country, but it's more open. But still, if people know that they coming from this country, Muslim background, and they change their religion, they don't like them. They need to find work. But as refugees, they don't have legally a right to actually work. So they pay them under the table, but they pay them the fifth of what the regular worker can earn. And so with that small amount, and they have to work for 7 days a week, for 12 hours a day, there's no break. And there's no part-time job. You have to work all or nothing. So for them, that they want to serve God, and many of them, they want to get baptized, they cannot keep the Sabbath because they have to work all 7 days.
So definitely, with as we mentioned, prayers are so important and great support. We need more workers from indigenous people, people who are young, who are promising to develop their spiritual gifts, and we see potential that they can be a good asset for the church even when they leave that region and go to a better country of safety. And we also need some means to help with different projects.
Another way how you can help is that these refugees, they can be accepted much earlier into the country, North America, Canada, or America, if they have a sponsor. If they have somebody who would be willing to help them to come. Right now, we have actually one church in Ontario that is willing to help one family of 6. And they want to sponsor them. It's not an easy process, but it's doable. They want to sponsor them to come. This family with young children have been through very, very hard situation in persecution. So those are the ways that you can help.
According to the Bible, we find that the church went through heavy persecutions in different places, and many of the believers were in need. Even those believers who were in need in the places that were a little bit safer, they were collecting their money as a gift to the poor who were in Judea. He was supporting that kind of ministry, not just establishing churches and new groups and entering new regions, but also taking care of the believers who were affected by persecution, and because of that they lost their properties. They were at the edge of their existence. And we see that there was a great and really a precious spirit of brotherly love and self-sacrifice for the well-being of brothers and sisters around the world.
They need somebody to accept them. Their culture is totally different. They want freedom, they only think about that. But when they come, they find that the culture is totally different. It's cold towards opposite their hot culture, and they need friends. We have, unfortunately, people who have moved to America from refugees that we know, that my husband has studied with and baptized. And they came to America. We tried to connect them with the church, and they said, but it's very cold. Nobody even invited us. We couldn't find any friends. And they didn't find, they were not accepted. And it was very sad for us. We're still praying for them. We're still connected with them and trying to encourage them to go and to trust in God. But if we have in every church people, groups who are ready to accept these people, to give their self to them, to be really their friends, it's gonna make such a big difference. And they're gonna be then pillars in their community. Because in North America, it's full of people from the Middle East. Who is gonna witness to these people? I'm not gonna do it, and you cannot do it because we don't know the language. But they know the language. They will tell their countrymen, and that's the best way to do it.
One may ask how new believers share, how they live, how they practice their faith. So there is no church, or we can call it underground church. There is something, some kind of meetings, small groups. And sometimes it is in nature, sometimes in houses, and they should change places. They study, they talk, and we have basically oral community and how the message is transmitted. So sharing, just bringing the news to others, gathering to share, to talk, to pray. And those cultures in the Middle East are cultures that function most, or at best, after 9 o'clock in the evening. When we are ready to sleep in the West, they start their life and they stay awake until midnight, 1 or 2 o'clock, and they talk, they discuss, and that's how they learn. And so for them, community is so important, and that's how it goes. And when people are enthusiastic about something, they carefully look for with whom they can share. Sometimes it results in a wrong person that they come across, and it causes a persecution, or they get warning, or they find a good friend, good listener, and somebody who is interested and who appreciates the message.
We had an unfortunate experience in one city that people came to us and they were so enthusiastic about sharing. They said they have a big room and they will open church in their house. We told them, please be careful. And they said, no, there is no problem at all. But unfortunately, there was a problem. Many people from that city, and it was a big group, they all had to run away from that country because they were discovered. They were too open. They went out on the streets and they were sharing to people, and they found a person who was service intelligence, secret intelligence service, and so they had to flee. The stake is a big, and people have to really love Christ and to be sure that they are on the right way. One of our friends, she wanted to share her news, her discovered new faith with her cousin. And for 6 months, she was finding the time how she can tell her. Is she gonna be open-minded? Is she gonna tell her family? Because nobody knew that she was a Christian. And after 6 months, she got the courage to tell her. And it was great, because friends said, I was looking for something like that. Many of those people in this country, they are burdened that they have to be Muslims. And they don't want to be. They want to look for something else. But if they ask, they are in trouble. They cannot ask questions.
They cannot get questions because it is taboo in Islam. So, but when they study the Bible, they feel they can ask questions, even if they don't understand. We can repeat 10 times and then read several texts, and then when they understand, it opens a new vision for them, and that brings great joy and enthusiasm into their lives. And there's so much to be done. We see the broken families, broken relationships, lots of inconsistency in their behavior. People who are accustomed to lie, because you cannot survive in such kind of cultures unless you lie. And now when you present 10 commandments, what a great news. What a change. Oh, brothers and sisters, such a huge work for all of us. And we need more workers to come. We need more people to be in prayer groups, to pray for a revelation of God's mercy upon those nations there in the Middle East.
Our friend Mohammed, who we visited in this country, we asked him, are you sure it's okay, it's safe, everything is fine, there is no problem in our country, don't worry, we are totally okay. He became our brother, we visited him, and he shared with others. Unfortunately, he took a big risk. One day when he wasn't at home, somebody came into their house and checked everything. They found the Bible, the New Testament that he had, and some DVDs that he had as well. So he was informed that his house was broken and all the things were taken in. He had to act very quickly. People have two choices. If they are lucky, they can maybe, by plane, quickly exit the country because their name is not yet in the system. If they don't have enough money, they have to illegally try to exit the country on the foot, by the horse, different ways. And the third option is to stay there and go to prison. So he had to flee the country, and he was lucky that he fled the country. This is just one example, but there are so many of them that they believe that it's going to be okay, they can share faith. Others believe they are very cautious and they share very cautiously, but still somebody told, or maybe they gave somebody something and they didn't know really who that person was. So if you want to share faith, you have to really be sure that you know that person very well. They don't trust, many of them, even their parents or their siblings, because if they believe in tradition or in the system of the country, they will report them.
But it is great also to see even parents coming with their children, whether they are younger or older, or supporting them, giving them freedom to make their own choice. And this is also great, knowing the cultural and religious settings in which you are not allowed to change the religion because it is considered as the perfect religion. All of others are just apostate and heretics. And so if you are among them, or if you leave that a religion of your fathers that was given once, you deserve that, and you are going to be cut off from community.
And I would like to share one more story with you about our young friend Amir. He came to another country to study medicine, and he was very much brought in a Muslim family. He knew many parts from Quran, and he went even for competitions reciting Quran. And he was very strict in prayers, in doing everything. But when he was 18, he started asking questions. And where else to go and ask than to mosque? And when he asked questions, he was rebuked every time. You shouldn't be asking those questions. That was the answer that he always got. Now, in this country, which is also a Muslim country, but more democratic, every day as he was studying, he was passing by Seventh-day Adventist Church. Actually, it's a Catholic church, but we ran that church. And we have a stand that it's outside of the church with the books, with literature. And 3 or 4 days a week, we have a pastor there who is always there to answer questions. But for a really strict Muslim, even just stopping and putting a step into the Christian church, it's already no. And so he was passing, and in his mind came thought, I would like to ask him some questions, but no. Then he was thinking, no, I cannot go into the church. After a couple of months, he decided one day that he will go inside. And so as he went inside, the pastor was there, and he shared with him some books. He asked him some question, and he said, no problem. You can come anytime. I'm here this and these days, and you can ask me any questions. When we met him, when we visited that country, he was already there in the church for 6 months. He was studying the Bible. He was so interested. And after several months of studying, he got baptized. He was so excited about his new faith that he was 100% sure that his parents would understand that. And he wanted to share with them. So in June of that year, he called his parents and he told them what happened, that he got baptized and he became Christian. And he was shocked on what reaction was of his parents. They were devastated, they were angry, they were sad, they were disappointed. There were so many phases that they were going through while they were talking to him. After a couple of months, they told him, you know, you have to forget about Christianity, you have to forget about this church. You are a Muslim and you are our son. But he was very firm. And we will cut you off from any financial help. You are just a student, and we won't send you any money. That didn't help either. He was very determined that he's gonna stay firm in his belief. And then came call from his mother. And his mother said, your father is in the hospital. He got heart attack. You better come home quickly. And of course, his father is in the hospital. He took the first plane. He went back home just to find out that his father was well and he was home. They took his passport, and he never saw that passport again. And they put him home. He was at home, and they didn't allow him to go back to continue his study. If he was more than 6 months without studying, he was obliged to join the army. He begged his parents, please don't let me go to the army. Don't send me there. If you send me there, I'm gonna die. They're gonna kill me. I'm gonna tell them I'm a Christian. They took him to doctor. They took him to imam, to mosque. They took him to the university to start university over there to continue. But in that country, Sabbath, Saturday, is the first day of the week. Their weekend, it's Thursday and Friday. So on Monday, their Saturday, you have to go to school. He said, I cannot break God's commandments. I'm not going to go to school. So through all of this, the time passed, and he had to join the army. The parents didn't allow him to get out of the country. His brother took him into the car to the capital city and to the base. And when he got there, he went right away and he wanted to talk to somebody, but there was nobody to talk. But after 2 weeks there, he needed to go to hospital to check something. While he was in hospital, he decided to run from there, and he decided, I'm going to illegally just cross the country and exit. He didn't think through enough and didn't have money, and he traveled to the border. He didn't know anybody, where to go, who to talk to, how to cross the border. You cannot just cross the border without passport.
Yeah.
And he was desperate, and then after a couple of days spending without food, and he called his parents and he said what he did, and his father said, oh, just come home, everything will be fine, you don't need to worry. He went back home. After 2 weeks, the brother took him back to the base again. He went to the army, and this time, the first thing he wanted to talk to the Ministry of Religion, he wanted to talk to the general. And the first office that he went, the man wasn't there. The second office he went, the man said, okay, come and sit down. And he even had a Bible with him. And he started talking to them, and he said, this is my beliefs. This is what I believe. I cannot do this, because if you are in our army, of course you have to be in prayers 3 times a day, and you have to attend all of that. And some other things that we're not going to mention here, specific for that country. And he looked him in the eye, and he said, son, you can be my son. You are so lucky that today, the general that you were supposed to talk to, he's not actually here. I'm just a regular worker. And I just happen to be in his office. I understand what you believe, but you need to keep that for yourself. Just go, 2 years will pass very quickly. And after that, you can leave the country, you can be free, you can do whatever you want. He said, I cannot do that. And he told him, just go. So very soon, other soldiers noticed that he's different. He didn't pray, he didn't do the chores, he didn't do work on Saturday. And they have invited him to their court. It was lots of trouble for him. They put him in the prison, and he was sentenced. They are in the prison. But what God did, miracle, it's just a miracle. We all knew about this case, and we were all praying about it. He had only one guard who was coming and bringing him meals and taking him out for his work chores.
So he was doing some things in the field, just digging, doing something that didn't make any sense. But that guard, one day, when he learned the situation and the grievous destiny that he was facing, that's execution, he told him, I want to help you to escape. He was shocked. He already thought my life is over, and he's a very young man. So, and he was surprised. Maybe it is a trick, maybe it's just a trap. But he told him, yeah, I see that you are a special man, and I want to help you. So when they got back, he explained to him and showed him a place. You can go to this place, and you can walk through the fence. Actually, there are 2 fences, and he helped him to go through this, and he said, I will wait for you there at a certain point. One more point I forgot, and that's our brother said, if you help me, please let it be not on the Sabbath day, any other day. So it was on Thursday. So because there are everywhere cameras, so they helped him to come to the place where cameras couldn't cover. So he went under the fence, 1 and 2nd, And then he told him, there is a guard on the parking, but you walk. And
I
he
cannot
walked.
help you there.
Yeah, and he walked. He saw the guard, but he didn't look at the guard. He marched just his way toward the street, and then he met his friend. Later, the man who helped him came to the guard and asked him if there was anything. He said, nothing special. Was there anyone going this way? He said, no one was there. It seems that God intervened and blinded the man that he didn't see our young brother who escaped. So to make a story short, they both traveled to the border, and they crossing the river, and it was not so easy with a group of other people who were crossing illegally, and then going on the bus and for hundreds of kilometers to safety and then to register.
And also another miracle on the bus, because when you cross the border, it's not the end. Because in this country also, if they catch you, they're going to send you back to your country. And so they were like 5, 6 of them sitting at the back of the bus. And very often you have police checkpoints. And so police came inside and checked every single person and came to the last 2 rows when they were sitting, and they said, it's finished, nobody's here anymore. And they went back. That happened on 2 buses before he reached the capital city to be able to apply for asylum seeker. This young man is continuing studying in this country, not anymore medicine as he planned before, but he is actually very lucky. God blessed him really that he was able to continue as a refugee, and he wants to be able to work in God's field.
Amen.
He wants to work for God.
Amen.